press that. Good evening. It is evening. Right. Oops, I think I've just accidentally saved. Did I change anything then? Don't think I did. So it's going to save over. It should be okay. All I did was bounce. Wait for the program. I'm willing to wait. Zoom. There we go. Zoom's working. Ableton is just loading a different project. Should be on any minute. Oh, no. Why didn't I get a brew before I came online? Why didn't I do that? It was it's not a good move, was it? I can't reach the kettle from here. I'll actually have to turn it on. I feel like I need a brew. Look, while it's loading. Oh, it's loaded. Let's see what we've got here. It's a very... It was actually not sounding too bad. What's this? Media files are missing, of course. Not important ones though. We're not actually using it, but I'm going to tidy it up anyway. Yeah, that's what the sound was. That sounds different now. Reset these. Virgil, how goes? Were you tuned in when I was working on this one last time? It was 8 days ago. Alright. That sounds better, somehow. Yeah, it sounds exactly the same as the bounce. Rizzle me this, thank you for following. Billy. Hi Billy. I remember you because of your test tube. First time trying out Serum for me today. Had a lot of go with Serum 2 demo. Nice. Serum 2 is amazing. Look at all these Serum 2s here. Straight on it I was as soon as it came out. And it's awesome. Really is awesome. Did I make strings with it? I made some of this intro, this sound. I think that was the Spectral, yeah. I think the Spectral sampler is just amazing. It's an amazing thing. There are other things out there that can do it that are quite recent. Ewan Bristow makes a load of plugins, and he does lots of Spectral type plugins. So there's ways to do it using free. I think there's one of them isn't free, but most of his things are free. Really good. But but to have it conveniently packed into CM2 is really good. But yeah, spectral stuff for sound design. It's very handy. How many kicks? Tink. It's not. That is the snare. Spent about an hour on Zoom trying to make a sound. How did it go? Yeah, hi Duck. This is Ableton. Are you from the Midlands, Duck? If you know, you know. So, when I listened to The Bounce, which is like 8 days old now, it sounded like it needed the next section making. So, a bass variation would do it. Let's duplicate this. Duplicate this time. Did I do that? Control Shift D. There we go. And were you from up here? Sample. That would be good. So it would be. I could build a whole tune around it, just a quack, like a quack sound, like a. You know, it's like a caricature of a quack sound, but in a but it's actually a bass. Like, you know, the drop is just like. Because if I just drop a real duck in there, it's like. It just doesn't seem right. It's like dropping a real frog. Like you'd put a frog type bass in there, right? Maybe. But if it was just like ribbit. Yeah, like pond sounds. It's tempting, isn't it? Tempting to do a whole themed bunch of tunes around the pond. Yeah. Like algae, a blue-green algae intro. Be very atmospheric, when it misty, like foggy. But thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, sample a quack. Has it been done? Has no one done that in all of drum and bass? No one's done. That might be my next get bass, is a quack on the drop. If no one else does it, you must. Tribalist, thank you for following. Yeah, give it a go. See, I think if we both give it a go, we'll probably come up with completely the quack sounds. Completely different quacks. Vinyl Steve, thanks for following. And Quack Duck, thanks for following. Right, I'm gonna variate. Variate? Is that a word? Make a variation. Variate? Doesn't happen often. A new word. Oh, it is. It is. Of course it's a word. Oh, but it's statistic. It's not what you think it means to call it a quantity. Anyway, I think it works good. Variate. I'm going to variate this. How do I? I've duplicated a track. Yeah, right, duck. That's what my work colleague used to say to me. Proper brummy. Every time. Hey, duck. So CC8, hi. Vinyl Steve. I heard someone use Mortal Kombat samples in a tune. Yeah, sure. Yorick. Hi, Yorick. Was it? Get over here. Yeah. I used the Wii Fit samples, but not from the Wii Fit game. It was from Smash Brothers, because in Smash Brothers, on the Switch, there's like a Wii Fit characters on Wii Fit level, so there's like a bunch of samples which were like put online, and I made a drum and bass tune around it. I was like, let's get a good stretch and keep the. There's lots of words about keeping the body moving, so it's like perfect. I was like, I'm totally having this in my D&B introduction. It was great. It's on my SoundCloud. It's on my Next Level D&B SoundCloud. I really like that tune. Like, it's one of my favourite tunes that I've made, but it's got barely any listens. I played it in the club a few times. But yeah, it makes making, especially drum and bass, makes it really fun having like little vocal samples in, especially then when they mean something. They're like dragging you in. I need to know how to make a specific kind of bass no one has made on a video. Do you have, Virgil, a reference? Like, have you heard something like it somewhere else in a piece of music? Or I love the challenge of trying to reverse engineer basses. Sometimes it's very hard, but yeah, do it. So tell me what it is in a minute. I know I could do an easy one. We just wobble this. So we put LFO4 up to master global. It's called main tuning now. That sounds really messed up. So we could have it on and then have it off. Lols. Many lols were had. So I'm using the LFO6 now to control the amount. No, sorry, LFO5 to control the amount of LFO4. Do you just make drum and bass? I make dubstep and electronic and, anything goes, like ambient as well. I did like a whole ambient album. But I like just weird electronic music as well. But at the moment, I've got a gig at Home of the Drum Festival, which was amazing last year. I'm actually playing there this year, um, as part of the Wob 40 collective, and it's going to be dubstep. I'm going to be playing dubstep. I've got a nice bunch of dubstep tunes ready that I've made recently. Do you ever try harder styles? Not like 4/4. I don't usually make 4/4. 4 to the floor stuff. That's kind of a rare thing for me, but I do, when I do it, I enjoy it. But I don't make like hard style, if that's what you mean. Like it's sort of like happy hardcore or just hardcore. Even though I like, it was a big influence in my younger life. You just made some bass house CZ8, nice. What sort of stuff do you make, Duck? Duck? In the ponds I usually stay at. I'm new to Sim, so I honestly have no idea what the knobs mean. You'll figure it out. I remember getting my first. Actually, no, my first synthesizer was. Was it Rubber Duck? It was like a Windows application. I don't even think you could control it with MIDI. And I think that's where I learned. That's where I first turned a cut off knob, cut off and resonance, and sort of like started to understand what that was all about. And then I got my first synth. I got a hardware synth, a Supernova 2, and that had like a ridiculous amount of knobs on it. And I think that's the best way to learn is just twiddling knobs until you figure out how each one affects the sound. You could kind of route stuff behind the scenes in a Supernova 2, like you can in Serum 2, in the Matrix, but you can do a lot of it without having to go into the Matrix. You can learn so much just by going through wavetables and just learning what each of the oscillator types do. Wavetable, multi-sample, sample, granular, spectral. These are just magic. This spectral one is like a sound designer's dream, really. But then you've got all your tradition. You can make pretty much any sound with it. Like you could do a pretty close emulation of like any old analog synth. Yeah, and if it's digital, it's never really going to sound like an analog synth, but you can get really close enough. Usually, for like if you're just making music, like. Sorry for the horrible English skills. I think I've made 1,000 mistakes already. No, Duck. I mean, now I'm like, are you English? I don't I didn't assume any location or anything before. I'm still not now. You could be English, but your English is terrible. But it's not. I've not noticed anything. And I do notice as well if someone's English, especially my own. That's why I had to look up that word, variate, because I said it. I was like, that would be a great word. Your bass house track is a remix of "Never Gonna Give You Up." Yes. I still want to do a remix of Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, because I just want to rickroll people, but in a particular genre. I can't remember. It was ages ago. I had this. It was like a flash moment. It was like I got really excited about making a Rick, but there wasn't enough time. It was before February because that's when the gig was, I remember I was like, if there's not enough time to make it because I had all this other stuff to finish, and I wanted to do a good job on it. So yeah, it would have been a 140 tune, but it also would work as a. Even though it's quite slow in it, so it probably wouldn't work as a D&B tune, but it would work as a 140, and it would work as a bass house. Yeah. CZ8, did you have the like that mad little drum roll right at the start of the track? Is serum worth buying if I'm a little broke and still starting out? The dog community is worried. It depends. Like, I think you can do some you could probably do some really good quacks with it. So it probably is worth it. If you're just starting out, depends how. See, I don't know how I've gone through when I started making music a long time ago. I was just playing around, and then it got quite serious, and I was like, I really love doing this. And then there's a few times where I stopped, but no, it was really serious. I was like pouring loads of money into it and buying gear, and it never went away, and it's still not, and it never is now. I've realized this. It's like it is never. Unless I go deaf. So I don't know. It depends how serious you are. Because I mean, it's hard because some people are serious, and then something happens in later on in life, like they have kids, or they get a job or they do something, or they meet a bunch of people and they find, they go climbing hills, or they go traveling. It's not like they didn't have the passion for it. It's just that something else came along that was more, could it be more healthier, it could be more, so it's hard to guess and to gauge how serious anyone actually is in the beginning, I guess, because I didn't know I'd still be doing that in like 20 years later. Don't know. But if you think you are a passionate music maker and you're at the start of a journey, then yeah, I would buy it. Like, I've been using Serum 1 for like, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. Before that, I was just using Ableton's stock instruments because they are really good, and I've made albums with those. Oh, it's at 110. The original's at 110, right. 1,000 euros on a Mac, yeah. So you've got the stuff, you've got everything that you need to run Sim 2. Yeah. Just need a job. I think you can get it on Splice, can't you? You can get it rent at home. That's one way of doing it. Per month. I think it's like just a small amount per month. It's through Splice, isn't it? But yeah. But yeah, a job will do it. That's why you need something to support you. If you are serious about it, yeah, can't like. That works. Yeah, I mean, don't do what I did and max out a credit card when you're like in your early 20s, because thing is, computers weren't that fast back then. So, and there weren't really any samplers that you could run in a computer. They just started coming out, and they were not as easy to use as like an outboard Akai or an outboard Emu. And they were like the industry standard at the time. Everyone making D&B was using those. So I was like, I have to get one. So I did, at like £1,000 a pop. Yeah, that debt stays with you for a long time. That debt, it's not worth it. But now it's amazing now because you can just get so much stuff for free. You just need you should put all your money into a really fast processor, and then everything else you can make music for. You can make banging tunes for next to nothing. It's amazing. It's really laggy. The ponds don't have good Wi-Fi. I like this. The ponds. So you basically live in a pond then, like most of the time. You can fly though, right? Pond to pond. You do see some ducks on the grass though, don't you? Sometimes, when does that happen? When it's just like there's nothing left in the pond and they just start going on the grass, like tapping for worms and that. Need to go sleep, CZ8. Sorry. You've been programming the whole day on a Saturday. Good thing to do. I should be getting an early night tonight. That was my plan. Yeah. But yeah, good. Someone's got to do the programming. Someone has to program these things. Thank you. Good luck with your coding programming. Yeah. Because that's hard. That is hard stuff. Thanks for sharing, CZ. Me and my mates just eat seeds all day and then we make mind blow tunes. You see a row of mallards ducking around, making quacks, making various quacks, and then laughing about it. It's not the variation I was hoping to make. Oh man, I just found another sound I'm hopeless about. So, oh, it's a DJ Dammit. I never answered DJ Dammit's question. Oh no, I did. Specific bass sound. Okay, I want to see that. Bye for the meantime, CZ8s. I want to hear this sound in a minute. If you're still here, I just want to try and pitch this up. That did not go. Why when I turn the pitch down it goes up? Different. There's not much else I can variate. I just use that word again. It just doesn't mean that. It means something math, but a quantity having a numerical value for each member of a group, especially one whose values occur according to a frequency distribution. We're in that realm. We're in the math realm, aren't we? Even if we wasn't making this tune, we're still somehow. Is it all made of numbers, or is it made of like weird vibrations? I don't know. ALR. Oh yeah. So tell me that tune then. Tell me, Virgil. the bass that you're trying to emulate. Because I wanna have a go now. Bury the light. Which one? Who? Bury the light. There's top one. The 9 minute 41. 35 seconds in. Patience. The one just before the drop, before the guitar comes in, or the... that, you know, it's like a spluttering kind of... You need something for the build-up. That's like a whole session. It's a whole few sessions by the sound of it, that build-up. There's a lot going on. Some arpeggiators, like high string, and a like a sort of a bass, a sort of a synthetic bass going, percussive bass going ding 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 ding. And then toms. Crash. Like two toms. And that's where your bass is. Yeah, that bass should be quite easy. It's kind of like... I have made, but I'll do it from scratch. Right. How did I do it last time? If you can ring modulate, I can't remember how I did it. So there's a way of injecting noise in between. I'm gonna have to load up my preset because I forgot how I did it. Phased basses, was it that one? I can't believe I've not. Oh yeah, sound sync using PWM. Yeah. This is pretty complex, this one. Let's have another listen. They're the notes. That's all it is, yeah. it might not be that. And it could be a combination of, it could just be like a bass, but it's put through a distortion unit that crackles. Big Ethan 420. I always make him appreciate stupid stuff like brr bass. Do you put them in the folders though, like categories? Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like put them in a category that I can look at a week later, and I know which folder to go in to get the kind of sound that I want. Is that all you can hear? Because all this is a sine wave and white noise injected in between the quiet bits, which is you won't hear on a phone really well. But this is what it looks like on a scope. Why is it not showing up on the scope? Is it because it's not playing? I think I actually have to, yeah. What's going on there? We should move to the end of the tune because that's really loud. Let's put it before that. Okay. Let's kind of choose. There we go. Does that? Can you see what I'm saying, right? That's not just noise. Where's it gone? Oh my gosh. It's not just sine wave and noise, because you'd see the noise all the way over the top and the bottom of the sine wave. I feel like that's coming out the speaker. It's actually injected phase in between the peaks and the troughs. It's like a modern kind of production method. How on earth? See, I learned how to do this in phase plan from Virtual Riot, and Serum 1 can't do it, Serum 2 can do it, but its uses are, turns out its uses are not even that common really. There's not many uses for it. It's just a way of getting like something that sounds distorted. Kind of sounds like a distorted bass, but it's not. It's a perfect sine wave. Because if you distort a sine wave, it obviously sounds, you know, like boom, boom, boom. Go to effects, go to distortion. Where's this thing here? Looks like that. It shapes your sine wave. Tube. Let's choose a hard clip. Look at that. Proper chopping the tops off. Oh, I know it. It's coming out the other headphone. So, how do I answer your question? I'm gonna. I've forgotten how I used to be. I think with loads of processing. Okay, so we can just put loads of effects on until it sounds right. There's other ways of introducing noise. sounds like a real bass. It could be a real bass put through like a noise, like a stomp box, you know, like a guitar distortion, but it's like a fuzz box, and it just adds loads of fuzz. But that fuzz isn't occurring the whole time. It's occurring in between the peaks and the troughs of the note, the wave, the fundamental, like the sine wave that's playing underneath. That's why I'm thinking it's an effect that just does it for you. But I've had to find my own way of doing that. I don't actually know what that is called, apart from maybe like a fuzz effect. Let's try fuzz in bass fuzz. Here we go. This will be Ableton's see, it's almost there, isn't it? You don't have Sim 2. Do you have Ableton? Because all I've got there now is it's just a sine wave. I'll turn these effects off here, so it's just a sine wave. Let's put Guitar Rig 7 is the one in the right direction. Yeah, that should have an effect in there where it kind of distorts the. See, what I'm adding in here is, so I've got my fundamental note there, a sine wave, and then an octave above I've got a saw wave, but it's in unison. And I'm sure you can do this on other synths as well. It's usually called a super saw when you have like tons of square saw waves all stacked together in unison. So you turn unison on and put it up to the maximum amount of voices, and then you can detune how detuned they actually are. So it's quite messy as you bring them together. But somewhere in the middle, it's pretty good. That kind of is a bit like, it can sound like a guitar sound. A little bit. It does sound a bit like that bass. And then yeah, just some fuzz distortion. And there's various ways of getting that as well. I don't know if that helps. It's hard to get it exactly right. No, it's. Does that make sense, Virgil? Super saw, unison detuned saw waves. You probably don't. Yeah, and I think you do need an octave below a sine wave that helps it. This provides the fuzz, and this provides the thing that makes the fuzz pulse in and out a bit. Because when the top of the sine wave, the bottom of the sine wave hit, that will this will become like half the volume, if you get what I mean. Well, that's, you know, when you put it through a distortion unit like this, bass fuzz. But I could use any distortion here, like what was the old one in Ableton? I think it was just called. What's it called? Distortion. Amp. Oh, amp's pretty good as well for it. There's some fuzz. Can you hear that pulsing now? Because it's as that sine wave smashes up against the distortion, it cuts out all the other bits of the signal temporarily. Can't really see it on there. Oh, wet scope though. That fizziness is so it's almost like it's pulsing at half. It's a 50% pulse width. I'm saying all these like technical terms, but basically the fuzz looks on the oscilloscope is occurring 50% of the time in total. So I hope that helps. Anyway, I'm going to move on. What kind of ambient music have you made? Can you ever show us anything you've made, please? Okay, look. I will go into... Should we go on Spotify? I've not been on Spotify for a bit. You can't see anything? Oh. You scared me then. Is it gone? Oh, what, when looking at... Oh, I see. You can't see anything. Shit. Okay, ambient encounters. Is it waiting? Something's waiting. It's not playing. Couldn't see what you were doing. I know what you said, Virgil. Yeah, it didn't even occur to me. But yeah, anyway, it was basically do an octave above. This isn't working. Look, it's not playing. Okay, Bandcamp. I could describe it again though, Virgil. One sine wave octave. No, it's one sine wave, an octave above, 16 saw waves in unison, or loads of the maximum amount of unison, and then feed it all into a big distortion, like go max on the distortion. I think that's how easy it was. It wasn't that hard to do. Do you make ambient duck pond music? That's where you got Virgil for it. Thanks, Doug. Are you on Spotify? So you just said, yeah. That's how I would do it though, yeah, because it's like a bass has like all those complex frequencies if you play real bass, but when you play real bass with a real guitar and you've got like chorus on it and stuff, you get to emulate that by doing like what I just said, like a sine wave and then an octave above, a bunch of saw waves, and then put all that together through one different distortions. Try different ones, try different, and just try turning the gain up to max for each one. I think you'll get that. And play bass notes as well. Thank you. My favourite track on this, I don't know, there's quite a few that I really like. It was a different time. It was only a few years ago. 2003. Oh no, 2023, sorry. Don't sound the same at all, right? See, what synth are you using? Are you using Serum 2? Yeah, I made this when I was living inside of a hill. Serum 1, you can do exactly what I just did in Serum 1, yeah. You want a sine wave. On the first one, and on the second one, you want that shape, or basically a saw wave. That is a saw wave, as you can see, it's a saw. Sometimes they look like that, but yeah, there's your saw wave. And then you want to put unison, which is on Serum 1, it's there somewhere underneath. You put it up to 16 and put random, make sure random's on max, because that'll, if it's not, the sine wave, the saw waves do this weird thing, the weird phasing thing, so you have to have random on 100. Study, Pond University. Another one is, they're all quite short, but what's the one, Pines? This, I really love this one, because I used to walk through pine trees while I was listening to it. While I was around this time when I was making this, I lived closer to pine trees than I do now. But I don't think I could make another ambient album at the moment. There was something about where I used to live, it just helped. Thank you. Thanks for asking, Doug. It's nice to share these tracks. It's made it worse somehow. So we do it without any filters, no filters. There's nothing, it's just those two oscillators. That's turned off, yeah, that's all it is. Those two. And it sounds like if you turn off the distortion. Sounds like that, without distortion. Let's put a saturation Yeah, just put a normal saturator on it. See if you can get a similar distortion. Not the same. But yeah, no fillers. Ventricle. So spun. Oh yeah. So there's these two longer tracks, which are like. There's peace in this one. Just it's quiet. It's a nice quiet track, but it's got beats in it. That's why I've called it ambient encounters, because it's occasionally you encounter some beats. But thank you for blasting it in the pond tomorrow. That's nice to know. And then there's draft as well, which is another. It's actually got birds in it. There are bird sounds in this, real bird sounds. 6 star. How you doing? If you did it from the innate preset, it would end up the same. It should do, yeah. Yeah, it's just sine wave, saw waves, 16 unison, and then on your output, put like a guitar amp bass, a bass amp distortion if there is one. I love listening to this. It's just crazy, isn't it? Like you can make something and listen back to it and go, I know how I made it. It's just I couldn't make another one that's like that. I could make something different that's sort of similar, but it would be whatever's going at the time, you know. Reverse. What's that mean? Some kind of spaceship thing or something. What's this? This is thank you 6 star. Like, do you have to do some sort of sampling? Yeah, this is my ambient album. Put it out like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years now. Been doing it a while. I had to make a system. I had to use a system of finishing tunes to come out with, to make this amount of things. It totally changed like how much stuff I outputted since I started doing it. So I started doing it like about 4 years ago. Maybe, yeah, about 4 years ago. And that's what this thing is. They're all the tracks that I've done and released. Are these ones, I don't know if I was using that system for these. No, not for these. Not for that either. But from here onwards, that's 2023. I was using it, and for the last couple of years of drum and bass tunes. And yeah, it's definitely, for any artist or producer, this system is like a game changer. I flew too high and reached the heavens because wow. That's nice. Thanks. Owen, what's that called? This is called Trello. It's a what's it called? Let's put that on while I explain. This is the back end. This is the soundtrack. It's called Trello. It's a project management. They use it in IT, but it's remarkably similar making music, like starting, developing, finishing, and releasing music is kind of like each one of them is kind of like a bit of a project, is like a software project. So this is really useful. How's the remix coming? Says 6 star. Added into basket. Oh, thanks. The remix it's done. It's done. Like it is done. Like I've been dancing around my kitchen to it. So that means that's my, if I can, if it makes me want to go like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like there's some energy, you can hear the energy in it. Then that's for me. I'm like really happy with it. And like you said, some wobs, some more wobs, some wobs. That definitely helped. So yeah, I've just got to do one go in the car to hear one particular bit where there might be too many kicks, but apart from that, it's done. Too saturated. Yeah, nice what Owen. That's dead loud. Do you know what? You can't turn the volume down, can you? On Bandcamp. There is no volume knob. Still, after all these years, they've not changed it. It's just like, here's the record, there's the play button. But yeah, Owen is the system though of splurge, discover, draft, done, release. That's like a Mike Monday thing. I can explain it, but yeah, it's definitely like worth doing if you really want it. If you want to finish tunes, it's a solution to finishing tunes. What's the other one on here? One with beats in. I do sort of wonder how they're almost like dreams. They're like little dreams. Some of them are actually based on dreams. There was like, it's not like I made the track to sound like a dream. It was like I made these tracks and some of them reminded me of like old dreams. You know when you have dreams as a kid and you remember them forever. Some of them like remind me. It's weird. How do they sound the same? I mean, if you're making all the same genre, they might sound the same, but there'll always be differences, don't there? Like, if they do all sound the same, try like a totally different kick and a totally different snare and stuff. Oh, wait, sorry, I've lost that window again. Wait, this keeps happening. There we go. Yeah, feel free to do some sampling. If you hear anything, and you think you can remix it, that'd be great. Any sense of a preview? Me and Robin watching now. Okay, okay. This is right. First time. It's gonna go out. Let's play a bit. I've added this bit in the intro, kind of back in because of the sounds good, that vocal right at the beginning, like a telephone. And again. It sounds great, that, you know, that this like, they're all like hooky bits, aren't they? I was playing on my single little tiny speaker and it sounded like a radio thing. Different snare, different kick. Kick at the start, but I don't know what you mean by it doesn't slide. No. Is it too loud? Owen, thanks for following.
I said, what do you think this is? I'm afraid you said I can't talk while I'm holding it. You say, baby, how much for your tears? Yeah, I'm a worker, baby, working for you.
There's a lot of music going on there. All I did was add a piece of bass. Nice one. So that was six star and Dog Hearts. Yeah, 6 Star. You worked on this, didn't you? Did you work on this? It's Dog Hearts on the vocals, and Dog Hearts is a producer as well. Yeah, it was like fun to work with. You know, there's a lot of, like I say, there was the vocal was great, like a lot of fun, and the music, like all the layers of synths and stuff, like really rich layers. So Robin, amazing, great work, Robin. So there was like just constant inspiration I was getting from it, but it was tricky. I did like a few runs over it. How many? So we can look at this. Is what I love about this one commander. You can see like roughly how many. So I started it, and then did 1 session, 2 sessions, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, done 7 sessions on it. I think the last one I sent to you, Max, it was like I was happy enough with it, but I was just like, hey, when you said, "Oh, put some wobs in it," I'm just like, oh, fuck's sake, I've got to go back in now. But I'm glad I did. Because I brought it up to the level. It was like it's become like one of my own tunes, where I want it to be at a certain standard. And the thing I've noticed, this pattern, was when I do that extra, every time I do another run over it, another pass, another session on it, there's things I can do that quite often make it quite a bit better than it was in the previous sessions. And that actually happened with this. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's probably ready now. You know, I couldn't hear the thing that I heard in the kitchen the other day. There was like just a couple of kicks making it duck. When I thought, oh, I didn't need as many kicks there, but that's all. It was just like a kick roll that I could have muted. But I'm glad you like it anyway. I thought it sounded like so I've got this crappy little DAB radio speaker thing. So I've heard a lot of radio. I'm used to hearing the radio, 6 Music through it and stuff. So I test my tunes on it and dance around the kitchen. There's no bass on it. And it's, as soon as I press play on the track, I just thought, this sounds like it could be on radio. Like somewhere on the radio. You know, there's a lot going on. There's enough there's a lot of hooky stuff right at the beginning. So yeah, see what happens. Glad you like it. Owen, thanks for following. I said that. Ketamine Grandmaster. Oh, can't. Bad stuff for horses. I wish I had leaned more into producing rather than editing 6 years ago. Editing's useful though. Like in a video-driven world. I could be making bangers like this. Well, all you gotta do is practice. Yeah, if you just like practice every day, like with anything, yeah. That's how I've gotten. Like I've learned more in the past like 2 years than I have in the past 20 years. Like learning at a lot faster rate. What are you using to play the files? The graph looks useful. So this is Fubar 2000 with I've forgotten what add-ons it's got. You can Google it. I'll try and help. Components. It's got the minibar on the bottom, waveform minibar mod. But I think this Spectrum might actually be built in. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's built in. Because you can visualizations. Spectrum, yeah, spectrogram. That's a spectrogram, that. So it should be there. If it's not there in visualizations when you install Fubar 2000, just look for spectrogram and you'll find out how to do it. I can't remember exactly. Play over tomorrow. Alright, I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it. I'll send it. I'll be turning off. So I'll be going offline pretty soon, but I'll send it when I stop the live. Yeah. Thanks. How long? I've been producing for like 20 years plus, like kind of not seriously, and then I don't know. Am I doing it seriously now? don't know. I think that's the best way. Don't take it too seriously, but I do. You know what I mean? You want your bass, you want your kicks and your bass to like be. You want to play them in like drum. See, I think making drum and bass, trying to make drum and bass the whole time, all these years, you learn all these techniques. You quickly figure out that those kicks and snares don't sound as good as like commercially released or stuff that DJs play. So you like, I mean, drum and bass kicks and snares and stuff, mixing, producing is it's like really highly engineered stuff. It doesn't have to be. I'll say that, you know, you mix comes secondary to the actual musical content, the builds and the releases. You know, the build is as important as a drop, like, and if you've got those right, the mixing, you could play a badly mixed tune that's got the vibe right in, and people like that, rather than just a loop that's really well produced. Where am I going with this? Where are you going to play it on? The monitors? What monitors are you going to play on? Do you think about levels when you produce, so you have headroom? Yes, I do, or I do now more than ever before. When I first start a tune now, because I'll ideally start 10 tunes in a week. Ideally, it doesn't always happen. Most of them won't make it to being finished, obviously. And I don't really think about levels at that stage. I don't think about editing or mixing or finishing even. When I'm start tracks, it's all about the raw idea. It's just about the idea initially. It's like you putting your hat on, your artist hat on, and then later down the line, weeks or days later and stuff, when you're going through tracks, you might start putting your play hat on, where you still arty hat, where you still seeing what it can be, you know, playing with what's already there, seeing if it wants to do something or another. But you've still not put your editing hat on yet. You don't want to put that on yet. Once you know what it wants to be, and the idea there actually sounds good and makes you want to work on it, then you might start thinking about the mix and levels. This is part of the system that I use. The part of the thinking, the way to think about it. How long have you two been producing? Six Star and Dog Hearts. How long have you been singing? I'm producing. I forget you were a producer because you're like, yeah, amazing. I have to go down an extra octave. There we go, Virgil. Yes, you did it. Do you have any tips for mixing, mastering? Good question. I think mixing and mastering. I think the relationship between mixing and mastering, if you're doing mastering yourself, this is what happens to me. I'll be finishing a tune in the mixing stage and making it, balancing stuff, you know, and then I'll go, right, it's ready to master, and then I'll be literally on the mastering bus, the main channel, and ideally, right, there would only be a limiter on there, and all it would be doing, right, is a tiny amount. It would just be catching the odd transient, and just so you can raise the overall level of the whole song. But a lot of mastering engineers use EQ as well, and they use a whole chain of things, and they all do different things. But what I try and do is make the master do barely anything. So what I used to do is start EQing on the master channel. It's because something sounds too harsh. The high mids always sound too harsh with my tracks. Used to. So I would do a 2 dB dip in the high mids, and it would dull everything else. So I'd be like, this isn't working, you know. The best way is to then go back to the mix, and this is what a good mastering engineer, if they can't fix it at the mastering stage, they will say, can you just bring that snare down by like 2 dB or something? So you go back into your project, do that, and you're helping the mastering engineer out. But because you're that one person, you can do it quicker, but it still takes time to go back into a project. Like, I'll listen to stuff in the car, and the car stereo sounds really shit in this car that I've got. The worst stereo that I've ever had. It goes loud, but it makes the high mids sound terrible if they're not mixed right. It just exposes them really badly. It might be a blessing in disguise. So what I do now is, the way I solve that problem now is have less sounds playing at the same time. I know it sounds really obvious. And if you look at like Skrillex, there's loads of producers will say this as well, not just Skrillex, but Skrillex likes to make tunes in like a linear fashion. So there might only be one sample or two sounds playing at the same time. If you can make a track that only has one sample playing at a time, you don't have to do any mixing, well, barely any. You might want to balance the sounds, but nothing's overlapping. So your job is super easy, or easier, because you won't have those problems. And my biggest problem has always been snares overlapping with synth, buzzy, like saw wavy synths, that like, because they both take up the same frequency range, like there's a lot of conflict, so you have to dull one to make the sound of another come out, or you have to duck one with sidechaining. You have to duck the synths when the snare occurs. There's all these different ways of solving things taking up the same space at the same time. Does that answer your question? That's a beginner's guide. That's why sound choice is really important. But obviously, like I say, you don't really want to be in a flow state, a creative flow state, making a track and thinking too much about. You want to pick good sounds at the start, ideally, but at the same time, you don't want to. I think it's more important to be in a playful flow state and not overthinking stuff like that initially, because it's better to make more. It's better to start more music and then try and fix the good ones later than it is to spend all day on one track and second guess everything, because you won't get anywhere. You'll hardly create anything. You'll hardly come out with anything in a year. Whereas if you do 10 in a day, dead quick, just get 10 minutes. How much can you do in 10 minutes? You know, if you practiced it. If you had a template with beats, bass, synth, sound effects, and you just use that template every 10 minutes, reload it up. How quick can you lay down a beat in 2 minutes? If you can't do it now, if you practice it, you will be able to. You'll be able to do a little tiny crappy loop. And same for all the other elements. You'll get really fast at it. And when you're really fast at it, you can then create loads of little crappy, short little tunes. They'll all be rubbish, but there'll be some really good. When you listen back a week later, there'll be some really good ones in there. That will just go, holy shit! Did I make that? That's how I work anyway. Now, where's this window gone against this bid? There it is. Robin's been making music since he was 10. Amazing. Wow. Drumming since you were 8? Whoa. It's nearly as long as me. I've not been drumming. Nice. It's amazing. Yeah, it does sound very like there's a lot of layers, synth layers there. It was really nice to work with that track. I think a compressor and limiter should be used in mastering, but compressor built for mastering that includes EQ. Yeah, I think this setting the request to catch transient is the art form of mastering. Yeah, like preserving transients is it's a compromise again. I'm starting to now control the transients, like I was saying before, the master, because I don't really want the master to do anything anymore. So that means like every single track has to have its own. I mean, I use a clipper on a master almost always now, just to do a little bit of clipping and then go into the limit and do a tiny bit of limiting. But most of my clipping now for drums is done in the actual. I do a drum group, not on this one. Not on this one. Oh, it's because I've not mixed it yet. It'll almost certainly have some on by the time it's finished. It's gone again. Where's it gone? In the last track you played, I could see how tweaking the mastering compressor to catch that snare. You could see, could you hear it? What did I do? Yeah, so I did. I'm sure I would have used a compressor. I don't know if I used a clipper on the drums. I must have done. I can't remember. I'd have to load it up again. There is, yeah, that track I just played with a remix of Dog Hearts. That has quite big sidechain on the kick and the snare, especially mostly on the kick, like a pretty deep level cut whenever there's a kick. And I've found this out about kicks as well, because I used to make my kicks super. There was a lot of mid range in my kicks, like high mids, like the ticking of a drum. And now you don't need that. When you have the deeper your kick sidechain cut, the less high mids you need in the kick. You don't need it to hurt your ears when it's not competing with anything, because everything else has gone like to almost zero volume during that transient of the kick. So you just have a really quiet kick. And I've heard that a lot, like, and that it makes sense now, because I've heard the best dubstep tracks out there have stuff like that going on. You're like, how is that kick so soft but so loud? It sounds loud. It sounds loud as fuck. It sounds like the loudest thing in the whole track. But it's just this sort of illusion. It's almost like illusioning, like an illusion. It sounds loud, but it's only because everything else has gone quiet. It sounds obvious, doesn't it? But I, for years, just couldn't get my head around that. But I think there is a fine line between making a track full with feeling or yeah, when mastering, yeah. So what levels do I aim for? It's different for every track, Horo. Like in drum and bass, I would always aim for like 6, but it's quite hard to get. But if I'm getting 6 LUFs in a D&B track, it was like, and there's tracks out there -4 LUFs. And that's a bit. It's like a technical achievement to get it that's kind of what I want. The exercise I want to do is I want to get. I'm happy with -6 LUFS, but it has to be. It has to not sound distorted in the wrong places. It has to sound controlled, and that's like a technical challenge that I quite enjoy doing. Like I enjoy, but sometimes you do have to make choices to get to that. You have to actually remove sounds completely, take sounds out. Yeah, 6. Like, but most tunes I won't do to 6. D&B I'll try and get 6, but some are getting to -7, -8, and they fine. I'm happy with that. I don't mind that a DJ has to turn it up. Like if they want to. I'm not that bothered. I'm not like trying to get a commercial level. I'm not, for some tunes I'm not bothered. It would mean sacrificing the dynamics in the tune if I was to push it from -8 to -6 for some tunes. I'd have to give up some of the clarity and some of the emotion as well. So if there's a nice playful happy melody, I'm just thinking of one particular track here, you don't want to fucking make it hurt people's ears. I don't. And the type of synth it would have done that. So the whole thing had to be a little bit quieter, and beats had to be a bit louder and stuff. So then every tune is different. Every tune has different problems, different things conflicting. Paid a master, yeah. Oro, I did pay years ago, just before I started on this more recent journey of finishing lots of tunes quite a lot more often. I used Sapo, the drum and bass producer Sapo, because he did like 2 tunes for 30 quid, and I was like, yeah, I need to know what it sounds like. So I sent them, and they came back and they were amazing. I was just like, how the fuck has he done that? How has he made them sound so in your face without being distorted? It was amazing what he did. And ever since then, I've been like trying to learn how that was done. But it also, those tunes, it kind of, mastering them exposed them as well. It kind of made them sound shit to me, because if you're making drum and bass, and this is what I was saying earlier on about production, about engineering, what's more important in drum and bass or any dance music? Is it the engineering, or is it the actual music itself, the building of suspense and the release of the drop? I would say the music is more important. So yeah, that's what was wrong with my tracks. They didn't have groove. It was drum and bass, and it didn't swing right. It didn't. Yeah, you can make drum and bass, and I've made so many drum and bass tunes, and I think, oh, that's a good bass sound. Oh, that's a good beat. And even that's a good fill at the end, and that's a good bass sound. But I'll listen to it after a few sessions and go, do you know what? The beats just don't make me feel like dancing, basically. That's harder to do. It's not as black and white as engineering. You have to feel it. Sometimes you just have to try and dance to it in your kitchen. But then even then you don't know. Another way of doing it is play the little DJ mix in your kitchen or wherever, and drop the tune that you don't know about that you're making. Drop it in there, and if it sounds terrible to the stuff, it's probably partly because of the groove. I don't know. Sometimes it is the engineering though as well, because you want it to sound like as loud as. That's really hard to do. Yeah, fucking comparing your tune. You don't want to ever compare. You don't really want to compare your tune to someone else's, but if you're trying to make it sound, if you're trying to give a DJ a tune in hopes that they'll play it, you kind of do need to like at least balance. The sounds need to be as big as, well, they need to be perceived as big as a commercial track. Sometimes it's about perception, because just distorting everything and turning everything up isn't necessarily going to solve it. The final 10%, yeah. So I have this bunch of tracks that I've been working on since October. These are dubstep ones. There's like 8 finished now. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. Oh wait, not that one. 8, that one. I'm gonna get them mastered. I've never been as good as I am now at mastering. Like I'm always getting a bit better every time at mixing and mastering. But I still can't trust my ears. Even though I've fixed a lot of the mid-range conflicts that I usually get in my tunes, I don't want to ever trust my ears. I do want to outsource the last bit before it goes onto Spotify or before it goes out into the world. And I'm willing to pay for it. And 2 tunes for 30 quid. That was a while ago. That was about 5 years ago or something. I think he charges more now. But yeah, it's a pretty good deal. I'm sure he's still cheap actually, yeah. I'm sure he can probably do it for like 40, 50 quid or something. No, so I have a friend who has recently passed a degree. Or was it wasn't a PhD, was it? A degree in mastering, anyway. Master engineering. So, and she has offered to do them at like beginner rates, because she's just starting to do it. So I'm going to send her these 8 tunes and just see if there's anything that I can't hear, because my hearing, like, I've damaged my hearing from standing in front of speaker cabinets for hours in like early hours of the morning. I'll get back to you on that. Yeah. Yeah. So I know that I can't trust my ears just for that reason, but other reasons are like, if it's your own tune, you've got biases with it immediately, and you should stay away from the mastering, even though it's fun to try and figure out. I've done the best job I can, but when I send my tune, it will be in the form of my go of it, my master, and then I'll send the master channel turned off, and it will just be the raw. And I think that's how mastering engineers usually like it, so they can sort of see what you're going for a little bit. Yeah, should be interesting to see what comes up, because to me they sound alright. That's dangerous, isn't it? Thinking that they sound alright to me on my cheap headphones. Well, they're not that cheap, but they're like, someone who's got a degree in mastering engineering knows what to listen for. They've done like exercises after exercises and written about it, So I can't wait to run these tunes past her and see what she turns down. It'd be amazing if she just sends them back and says, "You don't need anything." Like, yeah. I think that happened with like a Daft Punk tune. I really like a producer or an album. I would check who did the mastering and send them your track if it's a similar style. That's interesting, Kesler. Yeah. but like commercial ones, they cost a fortune, don't they? Like I just never. There's one guy, Ian. Oh, what's his name? The mastering, the loudness wars guy. Can't his name. Was it Ian? Loudness War, sorry. Where is he? I learned a lot about mastering from watching him as well. The fuck's he? Should be there, but he's not. Seems that he always used the term the mastering wars, the loudness wars. So it's not there. He's not there. No. Anyway, perception. Yeah, this guy. What's his name?
Hello, and welcome to the Production Advice website. My name
Ian Shepherd. I got his first name right. And after watching all his stuff on mastering, it was really cool watching his workflow. You watching him do like, he had 4 tracks to play with, and he had them side by side, and each one had different EQ settings, and you could change the settings for each wave. And he would go through each one and make them sort of all sound sonically the same. So he was basically using the other ones as references. That was a massive mind-blowing moment. Like, that's how I'm gonna like master my albums from now on, is make all the tracks sort of sound at least the same level. It's funny though, because the waveforms, sometimes stuff sounds the same loudness. You get it to sound the same loudness, but the waveform might look a bit bigger and it's a bit deceptive. But yeah, really interesting. And he offered, he's also a mastering engineer, and there's loads of experience in like mastering people's tracks for a living. But he's like $1,000 per album, and I was like, I don't have $1,000. And then also, when you're like full of doubts about your tunes, I'm not about these. These are some of the best tunes I've ever made. Like in here, where are they? These 6, like dubstep tunes. They're just the best stuff. I couldn't have made anything better. Next year I might make something better than these. But I'm really confident. I'm really happy to pay someone now, whereas back when I was listening to Ian Shepherd, I wasn't that confident about my own tunes to go like, I don't want him to polish a turd. Like, Limit to be working overtime. White Peach, old school. All right, is it? Okay. I will at least Google it, because White Peach Records mastering 2 tracks, 32 quid. That's my kind of price. That even 6 tracks for 90 quid is really good. Yeah, amazing. And because it's a like old school like dubstep label, they know their dubstep, you'd think. I know my friend does. She plays dubstep in Bristol. Low2. Nice. I'm going to save that as well. Production. I've got a production folder, bookmarks. Got to have that. Thank you for the suggestion, Oro. Where's the window gone again? Here we go. They don't cost more than $100, yeah, for a track. Considering what they're running your audio through, I mean, if they're using analog gear, it takes up so much space. And I think Sapo did it on loads of analog gear. those two D&B tracks that I released, and then I think I took them down. I was really like, it's like I can't actually put these out. The music ain't that bad in them. It's just they're a bit overdone, and like I say, the groove wasn't there. Luca Bertolizzi, his dance mastering engineer, Albert Einstein, all of that. I mean, I did ask Sapo to. I said, "Can I sit in a session with you?" And he's like, "No, I don't really do that. I mean, for 30 quid, you know, it's not like that kind of service, is it? Because I would just be absorbing like the information, like I would just be like, he's turning the bass down. He's turning the sub down. Why? But now I know why. Too much bass. Too much. You'd think in drum and bass you want the bass loud. No. The speakers do that. Yeah, I've learned a lot. Like, and especially since doing like the way I do sessions now. If I've got an hour or 2 hours, and I'm just going through projects, cycling through them. I'm never just working on one all the time every day. I'm going from one to another and cycling through them over a week or 2 weeks. It's definitely the way to go. Kessler, man, you've been using Cubase for years, and then Ableton. Can't really figure out the workflow. Everyone's feedback is Ableton makes your workflow 10 times faster. Yeah, that's my story. I came from Cubase. Made some amazing tracks in Cubase, like ones that still kind of amaze me. Like how did I know how to make that? Like 8 years ago. How did I? But then I saw someone showed me Ableton, and the way you can group effects, and the way it's laid out at the bottom, and move effects around like it's nothing. You couldn't do that in Cubase. So I was just like, do you know what? I have switched sequences before and had to relearn sequences. Like I used to use Cakewalk Pro, I think, before Cubase, and I had to migrate. And that took a while, so I know how long it took to like relearn. So I was like, I'm willing to spend a good few months not making tunes and relearning a new sequencer, because it is faster. It's definitely faster once you learn at Ableton. If you do sound design, and if you're at the point of my journey where I was still figuring out how to mix tracks, you kind of want options. And if you can have groups of effects, you can try out different groups. You can go through each group. You like have an EQ set on one, have an EQ set, a different EQ on another, and sort of like experiment with which option sounds best. And it's good for that as well. You can't get it. You have to. Yeah, you have to just like give it some time. Easier said than done, innit? When you just want to make music. What kind of music do you make, Kessler? Ableton's like 450 quid at the moment. You can get like Ableton Standard. Like this is Ableton Live Suite. It has everything. But Ableton Live Standard has like half of some of the plugins, not all of them. It's a bit cheaper. You can always upgrade afterwards, you know. Grouping effects, yeah. In this, let's give it some look. Okay, so on this sound, how's a good demonstration of this? I don't know how I usually do it. Let's pick a sound here. Sound. Okay. Let's put a reverb on this sound. I'll show you what I mean. Reverb. It's taking me so long to find it. There it is. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a ducking reverb. So I'm going to group the reverb like that. So there's the sound comes in, goes through here into reverb. Now I'm going to create another chain. That's an empty chain. So basically the signal goes through there. It goes in parallel. So pure, that's just a clean signal going straight through there. And the signal going through this one is the reverb. Are you with me so far? And if I turn them both on, it's just like having a reverb at equal volume to the signal. Like that's just a wet reverb. So it's both going in parallel at the moment. And you can have loads of chains. You know, I could do another chain for a delay as well. And have parallel effects. But one technique is, as you can hear, the reverb is making the bass sound a bit muddy. See, there's, you know, I mean, it's not the best bass, but that's doesn't sound as muddy. With the reverb, it does. So there's different. You can obviously EQ the reverb, but what you can do is add a compressor to this reverb chain here at the end of it, and then go to the side chain from this channel, which is called 21, and is it sidechain on yet? Make it duck all the way. So can you hear that now? So when the signal is playing, the compressor is listening to the bass and it's ducking the reverb signal all the way down to like, so you can't hear it. And then when the sound finishes playing, the compressor stops pushing the level down and releases it, and then you hear the reverb. I don't know if you can hear that on your speakers. That's, you can't do that. You can do it in Cubase, or you used to be able to do it in Cubase and FL. I think FL Studio is the same as well. But you can just have a separate channel. There's a workaround. You can do this and have a sidechain going into it and stuff. But the way Ableton lays it all out, you can do it all in this little section here, and then you can just turn it off. I hope that made sense and is audible. It sounds quite quiet, the reverb. Turn the diffusion up. Shorten the release. Right, let's go back to this window because it's gone again. Where's it gone? There you are. Grouping effects, yeah. Does that answer your question about grouping effects? You don't know what you make, I'll answer. My last name is Dank Fancy. The last number of things I made I haven't posted. I'm waiting on a violinist for your contract. Amazing. That's cool. That's it's good. It's great. Like collaborating with other people, but it sounds like you're waiting. It sounds like you're not doing anything until the violinist comes through. Are you not working on other tracks? Can you not like work on other stuff until the violinist arrives? You mean it has a separate effects channel with the output, without the input? Cubase started to include that, yeah. I know that recent versions of Cubase have made it like a bit. It looks like there's a bit of a better workflow with it. Cubase feels like brain surgery making tracks, and Ableton looks more like a puzzle pieces. Yeah, that's how I used to do it. Like if I had Cubase, if I had to use Cubase now, I would. The things I've done in Ableton, now I know what's possible. I would surely do them in Cubase. Find a way to do them in Cubase. I know it can do everything. It can do everything, like just like Ableton. I think Cubase has some better like MIDI editing tools, but Ableton's just recently got better at that. So, but yeah, I've had some pretty complex groups. That's just not in this project because I've only just started this one, so there's nothing much. What was the other one I do? Do quite a lot actually. Oh, another one is the drum rack. So if I want to test kicks and snares and swap them over quickly, I know that Cubase will have this solution. There's the solutions to all the problems in all DAWs, really. If I want to layer, see this is whatever note that is. If I want to layer that sound with another sample, I can group it, or turn it into a group, and then add another sample in there, like drums, kicks, like so. That's now 2 sample instances there, playing at once. So, and I end up having racks of like parallel samples and only choosing one by the end of the mix. But it's just nice to have them all there to like go through them. Using Fiverr, yeah. To answer you, yeah. Just working at one at a time, but I'll spend 100 hours on a track. That's how I used to work, Kessler. That's how I used to do it. Yeah, that's very familiar. Yeah. If you want to make and finish like 100 tracks in a year instead of one. Actually, no, I think I could manage like. Did I do? I think I did 30 in 2 years. 30 drum and bass tracks in 2 years, over 2 years, as well as other stuff on the side. Like actually released, well, published onto my SoundCloud. That was using this music machine system. So yeah, you don't wait for your violinist. Start another track. Don't wait. Start 10 tracks this week. Like. Plug in when layering kicks to make sure they don't phase it. Oh yeah. See, I'm so far into. I think there's people write plugins that solve problems, but now because I've had to solve that myself manually. That issue. I don't know. It might actually work really well though. I'm not dismissing that your plugin suggestion there, because it might actually. If you can just throw 10 like a handful of kicks in a plugin and it just makes them all gel together magically, I'm up for that. I'm up for trying that. I will abandon the last one. Why? your violinist will turn up and be like, "Hi, Kessler, are we going to work on that track today?" And you'll be like, "No, it's in the bin, mate. It's in the bin." No, I've got like this many tracks like on the go. Just there's loads that are in like loads of, you know, if you start loads of tracks, if you do 10 tracks a day, most of them are going to sound shit. Don't delete them, because you might one day get bored and look through the folder and listen to the bounces of each one, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, that's shit, and then you just go, "What's this one? This one's really peculiar, and I don't even remember making it." And I feel like I should work on it because something's tickling my brain about it. Something sounds good about it. I'm not sure what it is. Load it up, have a little play. You've got nothing to lose. And then, if as soon as you get stuck and you can't work anymore on it, save it, bounce it again, what, a minute's worth of it, or however much you've done, and then don't listen to it for a week. Just keep doing that. Just leave it a week for each tune, because if you listen to it straight away, you'll ruin you. You don't want to listen to any tune that you're working on too many times, because it increases your bias about it. You have your own, like you do with any music out there in the world that you listen to. Once you've listened to it a few times, you get to love it. You'll start to love things about music, you know, any music out there. And that also happens to your own music, you know. You'll start to love and adore little parts of any given track that you've made, and that's problematic because that can stop you actually changing those elements later down the line. They might not actually work later down the line. When it comes to mixing the track, you might, if you came at it completely with fresh ears, you might go, "No, that song needs swapping out for something else," or muting completely. But if you're already in love with that bit, that's impossible to get rid of then, and you're stuck with a track you can't finish. Plug in lowering exhaust. The grades in school. If we go to the next grade, yeah. Do you know what I did move on from the one track at a time thing to like having just say like 3-4 tracks that I would listen to all year. So I did have a few in rotation, but it's not enough. I think the practice you want to do, you know, like a musician, like if you're an orchestra working with an orchestra, if you play in an orchestra and you play cello, and you're playing you're paid to play cello like really well, you're going to practice an hour every night, 2 hours, maybe all day. Depends like on how prestigious the orchestra is that you play for, you know. But let's just say it's an hour or 2 hours. You should be doing the same thing, but with starting tracks. Like if you want to make amazing tracks, like if you want to make the best music possible for you, you want to practice how to start music, because that's the magic happens. Most of the magic happens in the first sort of session of each track. So if you capitalize on that by starting lots of tracks, knowing that with nothing to lose for each one, and knowing that most of them aren't going to go anywhere, most of them are going to be rubbish. You have to make rubbish ones. You have to start rubbish, but you don't have to finish them. You'll end up making more good ones because you've started way more shit ones, basically. And if you only spend as little time as possible on starting each one, then you'll just, it's about quantity. your practice is doing the starting of the tune, so you'll get better and better at starting tunes. And when you get, and after 100 times of doing that, yeah, even if you did one a day for 100 days, you'd have 100 tunes, 100 wave files. Most of them will be shit, but I can guarantee some of them you'll be like, I can take this somewhere, I can take this, and you'll end up having like a few in rotation in the end, constantly. As long as you're always starting tunes, you'll always have like a few that are actually worth finishing. And the more you have in rotation as well, the less you feel like you've got to lose. Like you've got nothing to lose. Even if you decide to not finish one and ditch it, you've still got all these other ones to play with. And some days you'll feel like playing with some and finishing some, or developing some, and not. But on that same day, the other ones you might not be feeling. But the next week you might feel the other ones, and our minds are always changing, aren't they? Some days we don't like listening to certain music. It's the same. It's just true of your own as well. A few hours a week. That's enough. I'm going to say that's enough. Like, I've got 3 kids. Some days I can do 2 hours, like tonight. You'd be surprised. Try it. What have you got to lose? If you've got 1 hour in this coming week, try and do like 3 20-minute sessions in an hour. Spend the first 5 minutes setting up a template with drum beat, bass, synth sound, and something else, and then the next 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes. Actually, just quickly, as quick as you can. That's rough. Don't edit. Don't delete. Don't edit stuff. Just lay stuff down quick. See how quick you can do it. You'll get faster at it. And then after 10 minutes, set a timer. After 10 minutes, save it, and then bounce it. It's really important you bounce what's there, even if it's shit. You can't judge it at this stage. You're too involved in it. You need to bounce it, save it as a WAV. Don't open it. Don't listen to it for a week. Put a date on it somewhere. I just do that. That's 20 minutes. Oh, and in that 20-minute period, you're making a template, doing tuning in 10 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes is bouncing it and get ready for the next one. And in an hour, you can start 3 tunes. Sounds crazy. Sounds like that's completely not what you've been doing or what I used to do. But at the end, if you did that every day, an hour a day, at the end of the week, how many tunes would you have? You'd have a lot of wave files waiting to be listened to. And when you listen to them, you'll be surprised. You'd be ready then to take the next ones to the next stage of the music machine, as Mac Monday calls it. You can use your big boy computer tomorrow, Virgil. How are the throng, Luke? The thronglets. Oh, yeah, you're referring to the Black Mirror episode, because that's the only thing that's making me think of. Luke's buggered off. All right. Oh no, because I look like the guy out of the yeah. I know the hair is the hair, isn't it? And the glasses, and the fact that I'm sat behind a computer. Right. Painters start multiple paintings. Yes, they do. That's another thing. That was a parallel that I saw when I started doing this, is that painters would do that. I know, like a lot of the famous painters did it, because with oil paintings, you had to wait for the oil to dry, you know, like, and it'd take a long time. So that if you were in a session, you need something else to do anyway. Yeah. So yeah, so true. Good parallel there. But probably most work on one until done. Yeah, I know that a lot of artists who do that as well. Painters. Yeah. I'm living in the emotion until it's captured. Yeah, but there's your flawed, mate. There's a flaw. Your emotions change from like session to session. You can't tell me that every time you go in, you feel exactly the same. We feel like different every day. Some days we feel awful, some days we feel great, and some days like we feel like we're going to ruin what we've created. Like, I do anyway. I would be able to splash. See, I remember there was this one project I worked on. Here's one example. I was making D&B for ages, years, before I got really good at it. And I would just have this one project I would go into because it had this snare drum that I'd recorded, and I wanted a real snare sound. So I thought, this is the snare drum I'm going to use. I'm sticking with it, and I kept changing it, bouncing it, changing it, listening to it on the way to work. And every day I would just go back into that project and change something, and then bounce again, and it evolved dozens of times into what could have been dozens of tunes, all with the same drum sound pretty much, but it was just this like morphing thing that never finished. I might have learned a few things like while doing it, but because nothing ever got stomped, there you go, there's like you've put, because an end never got put to it, I couldn't learn from any mistakes. I didn't let myself make mistakes. If you finish something, say it's finished, and then you upload it to SoundCloud and it's out there and it's done, you then can't go back. You have to start. You just start something else, start a new one, and make another mistake and learn from that. Upload that. Yeah, like you have to put it out into the world to and make those mistakes to actually get the most, to learn the most stuff. You actually have to release rubbish stuff that will make you cringe to learn the most from it. It actually has to go out there. Other people have to hear it, and you have to go. You think your image is, you're trying to control your image, aren't you? So you don't want to put shit music out there, but you have to, and it's part of your journey. And if people do listen back in 20 years' time and listen to your early tunes, they'll be fascinated. They'll be going like, this sounds like the start of Kessler's journey, like, because it's not as good as the new stuff, and it tells a story. And so by not releasing stuff, by not releasing your the best stuff you can make now to a deadline, you're sort of denying the world the story of your development. Aren't you fascinated with an artist's development? Like, you know, you listen to early Aphex Twin stuff, and it sounds like it's made in a box, like Mouse and Mars. What's it called? Melodies from Mars, which I don't know even if that got a proper release or not. But it's just this weird synth music I think he made when it was like 10 years old or something. I don't know. He was dead young when he made music. If he didn't put that out, no one would be as fascinated with Aphex Twin as he is now. Like, yeah. And you'd be surprised that people will like it as well. People will like it when you think it's rubbish. You'll publish it thinking, no, it's all right, it's finished, it's done. I'm having nothing to do with it now. It's out there, and just keep doing that. And you'll listen to it a week later and go, oh shit, I'm not going to do that again. But I'm not going to take it down either. Next time I'm going to do a beat a bit differently. Yeah. Be able to splash ideas together on multiple ones. I do believe that. 3 kids. Do you need to wait? Yes. Yes, I do. It does involve waking up at 6 a.m. sometimes, and it does involve taking them to scouts and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard work, but to carry on making music, I've had to, all the other things I did, all my other like hobbies and interests, even socializing a little bit, has all had to go, so I could put all of my time into my biggest passion outside of the family. Hi Virgil, you back? You need to work on your riser. I need to work on my risers as well. I listen to like risers in sound packs and they sound more polished than mine. I've got some work to do. That's definitely like a weak spot. Still, I can do them quick. I can make them quickly, but they don't necessarily sound as good as I want them to. But yeah, Kessler, I mean, it took me seeing Mike Monday talk about it, doing it this way, and it was like an 11-day challenge. A challenge, and it's a challenge, but his was a bit more in depth because there's the splurging, which I've just described, where you're practicing starting tracks, and I think the challenge was do 2 in a day, and give yourself half an hour for each. So within an hour, you will have, however shit they sound after half an hour, you just bounce it into a WAV and don't listen to it for a week. And then at the end of 11 days, you have 22 tunes, like magic. How is that even possible? You might miss some days out. You might only to be able to do 1 because you just got too involved in it for some reason. SSL native X phase, is that what it's called? You're feeding both samples, line them up till you feel the best. Right. No way. Might have seen it. Yeah, so I was saying about the splurge method. So the splurge is the first stage, and once that's the bit you want to, like, if you want to do the music machine, that's the first bit of it. What comes next after that is some other stages that help you to get each one of those to a finish. Not every single one is going to be worth finishing, but the ones that do sound good after a week of not listening to them, you can then take it to the next stage, and that's a different thing to you just want to learn the splurge bit first, and then the next bit, which is called discovery. Right, so this is a phase thing, is it? X phase. Interesting. 420 milliseconds. Right, anyway, I need to have to be up at fucking 7 a.m. So I've already gone over the time. Thanks for your feedback sample in. Stick once, but Lucas Westby, okay. It's mad looking at the baby crying. Oh. Yeah, I've got to go. The baby's crying. So, thanks for hanging out. Cheers, Kessler. Cheers, Virgil. Cheers, Duck.